What does the housing market actually look like today in 2026? This is one of the biggest questions everybody asks before moving. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at the overall North Georgia housing market and what you need to know before buying a home. Are prices finally starting to drop? Are homes sitting on the market longer? Is it finally a buyer's market again? Today, I'm going to be breaking down the real numbers behind the North Georgia housing market, including things like average home price, days on market, inventory levels, and what all of this means for you buying a home in 2026. So first, we're going to zoom out a little bit more. We're actually going to look at the big picture and what the overall Georgia housing market looks like right now. We're going to start with the statewide numbers because this gives us the overall trend. First, we're going to look at the median home price across Georgia, and this is about $360,000 right now. In some reports, the statewide median price has been closer to $370 or $380 depending on the month, which shows that the price has stayed relatively stable over this past year. So what does this mean? We are no longer seeing the crazy double-digit increase we saw during 2020 and 2022. Instead, we are seeing the market shift towards a stabilization phase. Yes, these prices are still strong, but they are growing slowly instead of exploding upward. Another huge data point to look at across the state of Georgia is the average days homes sit on the market. And right now we're looking at about 67 days on average to sell a house, which is about 2 weeks longer than the year before. And this does tell us a little something. Buyers today have a little bit more negotiating power than they did during the pandemic frenzy. So now we're going to zoom back into what we normally talk about, and this is the Metro Atlanta market data. So the median home price in Atlanta metro area is somewhere around $371,000. But the average sale price is actually higher, and it's closer to around $460,000. And this difference happens because the entry-level homes pull the median down and these luxury homes pull the average back up. Another important stat is inventory, which is currently around 3.8 months of supply. And here's how we normally interpret the inventory data. 0 to 3 months supply is a strong seller's market. 4 to 6 months supply is a pretty balanced market, and 6+ months supply is a buyer's market. So that means right now, North Georgia is sitting somewhere between a seller's market and a balanced market. So yes, sellers still may have the leverage, but buyers have more options than they did a few years ago. So now in this third section, we're going to zoom even more into what I mainly cover, and this is going to be Gwinnett County market data. This is where a lot of relocation buyers tend to end up. Again, in cities like Buford, Sugar Hill, Duluth, Lawrenceville, Dacula, and many of the other ones that I've covered. So now let's talk the numbers. The median home price in Gwinnett County is currently around $415,000. Homes here are currently taking around 68 days to sell on average. Compared to last year, prices are slightly down about 1.2%, but that does not mean the market is crashing. It actually means it's cooling and stabilizing. During the past couple of years, especially the pandemic years, buyers were offering anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 over asking. They were waiving inspections, and they were competing with 10+ offers. And this is just not what's happening anymore. Today, we're seeing a much healthier market, a much more balanced market where buyers can actually negotiate again. Another interesting stat that we can look at within Gwinnett County is actually the average listing price of homes. And in Gwinnett County, the average listing price is actually somewhere around $563,000. Now, obviously, this number is much higher than the median, but that's because this includes luxury homes and larger new builds, which does tell us something pretty important. And this actually means that North Georgia is attracting higher income relocation buyers from places like California, New York, Florida, and this migration continues to support the housing market here. Now on to the question that everybody wants to know. What are prices actually doing? Are they going up or are they starting to come down? The honest answer, prices are mostly stabilizing. some months we're seeing small declines. For example, in Metro Atlanta, the median home price went from $375 to $371 year over year, which is only about a 1% difference. This is not a crash. That's what we call normal market fluctuation. In fact, compared to many parts of the country, North Georgia is still considered one of the strongest housing markets in the Southeast. Why? Because the demand here still remains strong. This may cause you to ask, why and how is North Georgia still continuing to grow? There are a few major reasons the North Georgia housing market is staying strong. And the first is the population growth. Metro Atlanta continues to attract people for relocating jobs, affordability, and lifestyle. The second is relative affordability. Compared to places like California, New York, and many others, home prices are still dramatically cheaper. For example, a $400,000 home in North Georgia might cost anywhere from $1 million or more in many of these coastal markets. The third reason is a pretty big one, and this is job growth. The Atlanta area continues to attract major companies like technology, healthcare, logistics, film production, and when these jobs grow, the housing demand usually follows. So if you're planning on buying a home in North Georgia in 2026, here's what you should realistically expect. First, homes are taking longer to sell. This means that you can often negotiate price, request repairs, and avoid those bidding wars. Second, inventory has increased slightly, which means buyers now have a little bit more choices. And third, prices are now stabilizing instead of rapidly rising like they once were. So what does this mean for you in this market compared to what it once was? You have a little bit more time to make smarter decisions. So overall, the North Georgia housing market right now can be described as stable, balanced, and still growing. Prices are holding steady, inventory has improved, and buyers finally have a little bit more negotiating power than they did a few years ago. And if you want more videos about North Georgia, make sure you're subscribed, you like, you leave a comment, you ring the bell, you know all the things, because I'm going to be continuing to bring out new videos every week about different cities, neighborhoods, and the housing market updates. Remember that you are loved, and I will see you guys in the next video.